Haribol Mataji.
Cool, Mataji. Okay, let's start. Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari
Jai Gopi Janava Girivardhari.
Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana
Yashananda Vrajaranjana
Yamunadira Vanachari
Yamunavajari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai
Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Nittai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nittai Gaura Haribo.
जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरदर्शी श्रीमद् अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की
Jai,
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की
Jai.
all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. On behalf of ISKCON Brisbane, I warmly welcome you all to our daily morning Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam reading. And before we begin, I must say I'm very, very thankful for this service. I have no qualification to speak, but I'm just seeking shelter of mercy and blessings of Srila Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj, and the entire Guru Parampara. And I pray that I may say something that is faithful to the Shastra and also pleasing to all of you Vaishnavas. I also beg for blessings from all of you. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. If I make any mistakes or offenses, please forgive me and please correct me. So we are reading from Canto 5, The Creative Impetus, Chapter 1, titled The Activities of Maharaj Priyavrat. And we know in this chapter, this is the first chapter of 5th canto. We know this chapter started with Parikshit Maharaj asking Shukdev Goswami that if Maharaj Priyavrat was such an exalted, great, self-realized devotee, as you are describing him, then why did he even get into the household life? And along with that question, Parikshit Maharaj has even made a statement that this Grihastha life, this household life, that is the root cause of bondage of karma for a jiva. So like that, Parikshit Maharaj was describing how a devotee should be and how Grihastha life is an impediment in the goal of life. So Shukdev Goswami says that yes, he agreed. He said, yes, whatever you are describing is not wrong. Even Maharaj Priyavrat didn't want to enter Grihastha life. He is a devotee. He is a disciple of Narad Muni. And Narad Muni has strongly preached to him to remain a Naistik Brahmachari. So, if it was up to Priyavrat, he didn't want to enter a materialistic life of enjoyment in a kingdom and enjoying with a family, children, wife. So Priyavrat, he even feared, that he also was fearful that all this will distract him from his bhakti. But let me tell you, Shukdev Goswami says, now let me describe under what circumstances Priyavrat had to accept the kingdom and in accept the kingdom, which also means enter Grihastha life. So firstly, his father, Swayambhav Manu, had requested him to rule because that is his prescribed duty as a royal. And he said no. Priyavrat said no. So the matter was very serious. Lord Brahma personally had to come to insist Priyavrat, and Lord Brahma had understood that Priyavrat on his own would not accept kingdom just because Swayambhu Manu is requesting, his father is requesting. So Lord Brahma came to break Priyavrat's determination. So Priyavrat was in a situation. He had two conflicting authorities. On one side, he had his Guru Narad Muni, who was asking him to remain brahmachari. On the other side, there is Lord Brahma and also his father, who is asking him to enter Grihasthashram. And both these authorities for Priyavrat, they are authorities for him. He should not neglect any of them. So he has to reconcile both these orders. And he has to do something that he is not disobeying either of them. And what is that? How does one also enter Grihastha life and also does not deviate from the path of devotional service? So Priyavrat has to use his intelligence and come up with a solution that he will follow both of these. And how can he do that? One of the purpose, Srila Prabhupada says that he can do that by practicing Yukta Vairagya. He will accept his material duties without attachment to them, and he will dovetail everything in Krishna's service. So by using Priyavrat as the model, as the example, in this whole episode in Canto 5, Bhagavatam is trying to teach us the right way to carry out Grihasthashram. And where we are today in the conversation between Lord Brahma and Priyavrat. So Lord Brahma is still very lovingly and very clearly explaining to Priyavrat. He is convincing that right now, that is the need of the hour, that you become the king, you become a model king, a model grihastha. And Lord Brahma explains to him that everyone is under the control of Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the controller, and all other jivas must work to satisfy him. Their aim has to be to please him. And a nice example given in one of the verses was that just like a bull is controlled by a rope tied to its nose, similarly, all the conditioned souls, they are forced to work under the spells of modes of nature. And Varnashram is created by Supreme Personality of Godhead. And a civilized man should work under this institution of Varna and Ashram. And even within that, one does have a choice of choosing to serve Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, like that, a conversation between Lord Brahma and Priyavrat is going on. Lord Brahma is one by one giving strong arguments to convince Priyavrat to accept the kingmanship and his family life. So today, let's see what Lord Brahma's argument is in verse 5:1:17. Let's go to verse 5:1:17. Narayanam namaskrityam
Narayanam skrityam
Namaskrityam
naram chaiva narottamam
naram
chaiva
chaiva
narottamam
narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
devim
sarasvati
saraswati vyasam
Tato Jayamudiraye
tato jayam udiraye
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
nityam bhagavat
Bhagavata seva
sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
bhagavati
Bhagavati
uttama
uttama
shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki
bhaktir
Bhakti
bhavati
bhavati
naistaki
naistiki.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om
om
Namo
namo
Bhagavate
bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudeva.
Vasudevaya.
Let's recite verse 5:1:17. Bhayam pramattasya vaneshvapi syat.
Bhayam pramattasya vaneshapi syat.
Sorry, I'll share the verse on the screen also. Yamuna Mataji, would you be able to share this today's verse on the screen? Sorry, I'm not able to see it. Sorry.
Thank you.
No? Bhayam pramattasya vaneshvapi syat.
Bhayam pramattasya
Brahmatasya
vaneshapi syat.
Vaneshavaya.
Yatah sa aste sahashat sapatnaha.
Yata sahaste sahasrapatnaha.
Jitendriyasyaatmaratirbuddhasya.
Jitendriyasya
Brahmatasya
Grihashamah kim nu karotyavadyam.
Grihāśramakimnu karotyavadyavam.
Bhayam pramattasya vaneshvapi syat.
Bhayam pramattasya vaneshvapi
Yatah sa aste sahashat sapatnaha.
यतः
सहस्ते
सहस्रसपत्नः
जितेन्द्रियस्यात्मरतिर्बुधस्य
जितेन्द्रियस्यात्मरतेर्बुधस्य
गृहाश्रमः किं नु करोत्यवद्यम्
गृहाश्रमकिन्नो
अवद्यम्
करोत्यवद्यम्
भयं प्रमत्तस्य वनेष्वपि स्यात्
भयं प्रमत्तस्य
प्रमत्तस्य
वनेष्वपि
स्यात्
स्यात्
यतः सास्ते सहसपत्नः
यतः स्वास्ते
आस्ते
सहषट्सपत्नः
सपत्नः
जितेन्द्रियस्य आत्मा रतेर्बुधस्य
जितेन्द्रियस्यात्मरते बुधस्य
गृहाश्रमः किं नु करोते अवध्यम्
गृहाश्रमः किं
गृहाश्रमकिं नु करोति
करोत्यवद्यम्
अवद्यम् भयं प्रमत्तस्य वनेष्वपि स्यात्
भयं प्रमत्तस्य वनेष्वपि स्यात्
यतः स आस्ते सहसत्सपत्नः
यतः स्वास्ते सषट्सपत्नः
जितेन्द्रियस्यात्मरतेर्बुधस्य
जितेन्द्रियस्यात्मरते बुधस्य
गृहाश्राम किं नु करोति अवद्यम्
गृहाश्रमं किं नु करोत्यवद्यम् भयं प्रमत्तस्य वनेष्वपि स्यात्
भयं
वनेष्वपि स्यात्
यतः स आस्ते सह षट्सपत्नः
यतः
स
स
आस्ते
सहसत्सपत्नः
सहसत्पत्नः
जितेन्द्रियस्यात् आत्मरते बुधस्य
इन्द्रियस्यात्मरतेर्बुधस्य
गृहाश्रमः किं नु करोत्यवद्यम्
गृहाश्रमः
किं
करोत्यवद्यम्
करोत्यवद्यम्
भयं प्रमत्तस्य वनेष्वपि स्यात्
भयं प्रमत्तस्य वनेष्वपि स्यात्
यतः स आस्ते सहसत्सपत्नः
यतः सास्ते
सहसत्सपत्नः
सहषट्सपत्नः
जितेन्द्रियस्यात्मरतेर्बुधस्य
जितेन्द्रियस्यात्मरते बुधस्य
जितेन्द्रियस्यात्मरतेर्बुधस्य
गृहाश्रमः किं नु करोत्यवद्यम्
गृहाश्रमः किं नु करोत्यवद्यम्
भयं प्रमत्तस्य वनेष्वपि स्यात्
भयं प्रमत्तस्य वनेष्वपि स्यात्
यतः स आस्ते सह षट्सपत्नः
यतः सास्ते सहषट्सपत्नः
जितेन्द्रियस्यात्मरतेर्बुधस्य
जितेन्द्रियस्यात्मरते बुधस्य
किं नु करोति अवद्यम्
गृहाश्रमः किं नु करोत्यवद्यम्
Let's look at word to word. Bhayam,
भयं
fear. Pramattasya,
प्रमत्तस्य
of one who is bewildered.
of one who is bewildered
Vaneshu,
वनेषु
in forests.
in forests
Api,
अपि
even.
even
Syat,
स्यात्
There must be.
There must
It
be.
must be.
Yataha,
Yataha,
because.
because.
Taha,
Taha,
he,
he,
one not self-controlled.
he one who is not
Not
self-controlled.
self-controlled.
Aste
Aste
is existing.
is
Is
existing.
existing.
Saha,
Saha,
Saha
with.
with
yes.
Shat sapatnaha,
Shat sapatnaha,
Danaha.
6 co-wives.
Six
six
co-wives.
Jitendriyasya,
Jitendriyasya,
Yasya.
for one who has already conquered the senses.
for one
For
who
one
has
who
already
has
conquered the
already conquered the
senses.
senses.
Atmaratihi,
Atma
Atmarati,
Rati,
self-satisfied.
self-satisfied.
satisfied.
Budhasya,
Buddhasya,
Budhasya,
for such a learned man.
for such
for
a
such
learned
a
man.
learned man.
Griha ashramaha,
Griha
Griha
ashramaha,
Ashramaha,
household life.
household life.
household life.
Kim,
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 what?
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 No,
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 indeed.
indeed.
Karoti,
Karoti,
can do.
can do.
Indeed.
Avadyam,
Avadyam,
harm.
Harm.
an.
Translation and purport by Krishna Krupamurti, His loving divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Even if he goes from forest to forest,
Even if he goes from forest to forest,
one who is not self-controlled
one who is not self-controlled
Controlled
must always fear material bondage.
must always fear material
material
bondage.
bondage.
Because he is living with 6 co-wives.
Because he is living with 6 co-wives,
The mind and knowledge acquiring senses.
The
mind and knowledge acquiring senses.
Even householder life, however,
Even householder life, however,
cannot harm a self-satisfied learned man
cannot harm a self-satisfied learned man
learned man
who has conquered his senses.
who has conquered his senses.
Thank you so much, devotees. Let's read the purport. Srila Narottama Das Thakur has sung, Grihe va vanete thake, ha gauranga bale dake. Whether one is situated in the forest or at home, if he is engaged in the devotional service of Lord Chaitanya, he is a liberated person. Here, this is also repeated. For one who has not controlled his senses, going to the forest to become a so-called yogi is meaningless because his uncontrolled mind and senses are going with him. He cannot achieve anything, even by giving up household life and staying in the forest. Formerly, many mercantile men from the upcountry of India used to go to Bengal, and thus there is a familiar saying, if you go to Bengal, your fortune will go with you. Our first concern, therefore, should be to control the senses. And since the senses cannot be controlled unless engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, our most important duty is to engage the senses in devotional service. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. Bhakti means engagement of the purified senses in the service of the Lord. Herein, Lord Brahma indicates that instead of going to the forest with uncontrolled senses, it is better and more secure to engage the senses in the service of the Lord. Even household life cannot do harm to a self-controlled person acting in this way. It cannot force him into material bondage. Srila Rupa Goswami has further enunciated this position. इहायस्य हरेर्दास्ये कर्मणा मनसा गिरा निखिला स्व अपि अवस्थासु जीवन्मुक्तः स उच्यते. Regardless of one's circumstances, if one fully engages his activities, mind, and words in the devotional service of the Lord, he should be understood to be a liberated person. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur was a responsible officer and a householder. Yet his service to the cause of expanding the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is unique. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur says, Durdan Kala Sarpa Patali Protkhat Danstrayate. The sense organs are certainly our greatest enemies, and they are therefore compared to venomous serpents. However, if a venomous serpent is bereft of its poison fangs, it is no longer fearful. Similarly, if the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, there is no need to fear their activities. The devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement move within this material world, but because their senses are fully engaged in the service of the Lord, they are always aloof from the material world. They are always living in a transcendental position. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So let's read the translation again. If he goes from forest to forest, one who is not self-controlled must always fear material bondage, because he is living with 6 co-wives, the mind and knowledge acquiring senses. Even householder life, however, cannot harm a self-satisfied learned man who has conquered his senses. So here in the words, Lord Brahma is putting one more argument to Priyavrat, why he should enter Grihastha life. He is in a way telling him that the real danger is inside, it's not outside. A person who is pramatta, word starts with bhayam pramattasya. A person who is pramatta, and pramatta, Prabhupada has translated as one who is bewildered. So person who is pramatta is bewildered, careless, and who is not self-controlled. They will be, a pramatta person will have bhaya. So bhayam pramattasya, he will have fear of what? Fear of bondage. So even if that kind of person, bhayam pramattasya vaneshvapi syat, even if that kind of person goes to forest, he starts living there. Because one can leave home. Such a person, even if they leave for home and go to forest, they will always be fearful. They will always have a danger of bondage. Because of their not being self-controlled. Because one can leave their home, their family, their relatives, and they can go to forest, but he can leave his home, but he cannot leave his mind and his senses behind. They will obviously go with him. And Lord Brahma here in the verse is using a very striking analogy. Saha shat sapatnaha. Shat sapatnaha. Shat means six. With six co-wives, he's saying. So, person living home and going to forest is going with six co-wives, which is mind and five knowledge acquiring senses. So they live with this conditioned soul and keep pulling him towards the material enjoyment. So even if he goes to forest, these are always going with him. So it is kind of an inner entourage that binds him. He can leave everyone else behind, but not these six inner co-wives. So these co-wives are mind and five gnanendriyas, five knowledge acquiring senses. They are always our constant companions. They can drag us into material life. So mind, then manaha, our mind, that's the mind. Chakshu, our eyes. Then Shrotra, our ears. Grana, our nose. Our rasna, our tongue. And tvacha, the skin. So these six senses and the mind, that is, there is a reason why Lord Brahma has called them six co-wives, because why he has word they use co-wives, because these senses, they always compete among themselves for one's attention and enjoyment. So they are like six envious co-wives. They are rivals of each other. And the husband who does not take a stand, but just allows this fight to go on, he allows these six co-wives to pull him in whatever direction they want, then that person, that kind of husband will become an uncontrolled person, and he will always remain in anxiety, and always be entangled more and more. So that is why, to avoid that, Krishna has created grihasthashram. So this verse, this is a subtle message from Lord Brahma, that one who is not yet jitendriya, Jitendriyasyatma rate buddhasya. One who is not yet Jitendriya, one who has not yet conquered their indriyas, their senses. For him, it is better to have one dharma patni, one real wife outside one's body, than to struggle with these six internal co-wives. Because one dharma patni can become one support system for following dharma, for sadhana, for devotional service. So it's better to fight in the battlefield of uncontrolled desires. And a perfect example of such battlefield of senses that comes in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is Saubari in ninth canto. In ninth canto, we see a whole chapter on the fall down of Saubari Muni. So he was engaged in austerity for a long time, deep inside the water of river Yamuna. But then he saw a pair of fish engaged in sexual activity, and seeing that the same desire arose in him, and stimulated by this desire, Then he went to a king, King Mandhata. So this king had 50 daughters, and then Saubhari Muni begged to him, saying that please give me one of your daughters in marriage. And king didn't want to. He didn't want to marry any of his daughter to such a sage. But he didn't want to say no as well. So he said, "Okay, sure. Let me take you to my daughters, and if any one of my 50 daughters chooses you as her husband, then I will get you married to her." Then King Mandata, he knew that. This sage, he's very old and weak and frail body, gray hair, sagging skin, always shaking wobbly head. Who will marry him? No young woman will like him. So, thinking like that, he took Saubri Muni to his 50 daughters. But on the way, Saubri Muni also he was very determined to get married. So by the strength of his sadhana, his austerity, he transformed his body into very young and beautiful man. So as soon as the 50 princesses saw him, all of them said to their father that I want to marry him. So King Mandata, he was bound by his word. So he married all his 50 daughters to this sage, Saubal. And then again, he was one sage and 50 wife, how to maintain them. But on the strength of his sadhana, his severe austerities that he did in the past, he manifested opulent palace with beautiful gardens and lakes and servants and maid servants and beautiful ornaments and clothes and whatnot. So all of his wives were happy with him. And for coming many, many years, Saubhari Muni enjoyed with all his 50 wives like this. And he thought he was enjoying. But what was happening, these 50 sisters, who now were these envious co-wives, they were always quarreling among themselves that he is mine, he loves me more, he loves me more. But one day, there was no peace in the house, and one day, Saubhri Muni, he was sitting alone and contemplating. He had a thought, what have I done with my life? I was such an elevated, I was in such an elevated position, but now I have fallen down. I was practicing austerity, and even, but even within the depth of water, I was observing all the rules and regulations, just seeing two fish mating, I gave into my senses and I lost all the results of my long, long austerities. So in Saubhri Muni's example, Bhagavatam gives a beautiful analogy that senses are inbuilt, they are like fire within us. So when there is a fire, and if we keep supplying heat, then fire never stops. So to stop the fire, we need to put water. So when we have the fire of senses and we keep giving the ghee of sense objects, then the fire is not going to get pacified. It's going to get bigger and more dangerous. But if we own our senses, our rishikas, and engage them in the service of, as we said, as it is said in the purport, in the service of Rishikesha, Krishna, the master of senses, Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevana, Bhakti Ruchyate. Then the fire gets pacified because the senses are no longer fed by sense objects, but they are fed by service, devotional service. So instead of going underwater and performing austerities, had Saubhari Muni married to one wife and done this Rishikesha, Rishikena, Sevanam, Bhakti Ruchyate. Oh, sorry, just a second, give me a second. So instead of going under the water and performing the austerities, had Saubari Muni been married to just one wife and done this Rishikesh Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate, then his life would have been different. It would have been ideal. So coming back from Saubari Muni's example, coming back to our own shloka today, here Parikshit Maharaj's doubt is being clarified that Priyavrat entering Grihastha life is not automatically a fall down for him. Grihastha ashram in its real form, in its ideal form, the way Krishna has created it, it is a regulated dharmic arrangement, which is meant to channelize the powerful senses, and especially the sex desire, in a very controlled way. But who will tell us? Who will tell us how? What ideal grihastha life should look like? Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam will. So that is why Maharaj Priyavrat and his example is given. In purport, Prabhupada has written, Srila Narottam Das Thakur sir, Grihe Vavanite Thake, Ha Gauranga Bale Dake. So whether one is situated in the forest or home, if he is engaged in the devotional service, he is a liberated person. And we saw in the Saubari Muni's example that without internal self-control, his external renunciation, him leaving home and going underwater for thousands of years, it was useless. So that's why Prabhupada says going to forest to become so-called yogi, it doesn't help if the uncontrolled mind and senses, they remain freely active and they always come along. So in our purport, Srila Prabhupada has given this core logic about this verse. He's saying that in human life, ashram doesn't matter. Ashram is an external thing. The danger is not home versus forest. The real danger is our own internal unengaged senses. So first priority is sense control. Senses are like venomous snakes, and these snakes are defanged by devotional service. When senses are not engaged, they are very poisonous, very deadly. But when they are engaged in Krishna's service, they become not danger anymore. They are not threatening anymore. They become like a serpent without the fangs. So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada gives the definition of Jivan Mukta. Liberated while living devotee. It gives the definition by Rupa Goswami that Iha yasya harer dasye karmana manasagira nikhilashu api avasthashu jivan muktasa uchyate. So regardless of one's external circumstances, if one engages karmana manasa gira, one engages their karmana, their activities, their mind, their manasa, and their gira, their words. If they engage all of these in Lord's service, in any situation, and then one can be Jivan Mukta, one can be liberated while living. So one who is in Grihastha doesn't need to think that if I leave Grihastha and if I change my ashram, if I leave my place, then I will be spiritually safe. No. If we, if we put our mind and our senses into bhakti, then ashram doesn't matter. Any ashram can become spiritually safe. And Lord Brahma himself says in 10th canto, स्थाने स्थिता श्रुतिगतां तनुवां मनोभिर् ये प्रायशो जितजितोऽप्यसितैस्त्रिलोक्यम्. That if someone becomes a devotee, if someone becomes devotee of the Lord, then even while being sthane sthita, while being wherever they are, in whatever ashram they are, for them, what to speak of conquering their own tanu, vang, manobir, their own body, their senses, their vak, their words, their man, their mind. They can conquer all of them, but they can even conquer the Ajita, the unconquerable, in three worlds, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So for a devotee, because devotee is Anya Vilashita Shunyam, it's very very easy to conquer the senses, and they can even conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But for everyone else, the danger is there, the challenge is there. And Krishna has told Arjun, he has warned Arjun in Bhagavad Gita 2.60. I have, okay, Krishna has warned Arjun in Bhagavad Gita 2.60. Yatato hi api kaunteya purushasya vipashitah indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manah. So Krishna tells Arjun that yatato hi api kaunteya. O Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, Arjun, even if one one is trying to control the senses, the senses are so strong, pramati, they are so strong and so impulsive, so agitating. Haranti, they forcibly carry the mind away. So it's challenge even for Arjun to control his senses. So if it's challenge for Arjun, it's natural that we struggle too. We saw in Muni's example, he was doing austerities, severe austerities, but just by seeing the fish mating, desire awakened, and he later became absorbed in huge family life. Ajamil, one wrong glance, he fell from his Brahman standards. He saw the prostitute, he got attracted, and then he spent everything to satisfy her. Bharat Maharaj was very, very elevated, but he developed deep attachment to a deer, and then his spiritual focus got weak. And in all these examples, what is the common theme is, that they thought going to the forest, going away from sense objects and doing sadhana alone will help. But it did not. Because, of course, as our verse says, Saha Shat Sapatnaha, the six co-wives, the senses, they went along. So ghee they left behind, but firewood they carried with them. Sense objects, they thought family life is giving me sense objects, so let me leave it behind. But sense is the firewood they carried with them. So just one spark from somewhere and the fire starts. And it's not always just sex desire, but sense attachment. Even we see in Bharat Maharaj's example, that sense attachment, it entered through very innocent looking channels like, affection for the deer, or care, or sentiments. But by giving all these different examples every now and then, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is warning us again and again. It's bringing to our attention that, even all these great personalities, even they struggled when their senses got a chance to indulge in sense objects. So, what to speak of us? So if we think that just my willpower is enough, it's my willpower is my safety net, we can't think that, yes, by hooks or crooks, I will control my senses. We cannot, even if we forcibly try to control our senses, there are two chances. One, yes, we will become successful, then that will boost our ego, that, they give a superiority complex that, oh, look at me, I'm so self-controlled, and look at all of others. They are all suffering because they cannot control their senses. And other possibility is that we cannot control our senses. We become unsuccessful. Then, that will give us guilt. So in both circumstances, if we on our own forcibly try to control the senses, we are not going to be successful. Because sense control is not just a word, it's not just an idea. There is a whole mechanism going behind self control, and we need to understand who or what is guiding these senses. So to explain that nicely, I found a nice image, and I thought I will share with you. I will try again to share. Now I can share. So this example comes from Katha Upanishad. There is a very good analogy of chariot with 5 horses. So if we imagine that our human body is a chariot, which is driven by 5 horses, our 5 senses, our eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and our sparsh, our touch. So this chariot is driven by 5 horses, and we call lagam in Hindi, the reins, the ropes controlling the horses, they are our mind. And these reins are in the hands of the charioteer, the Sarthi, which is our intelligence. And the passenger, the person on chariot, he represents the spirit soul or Jiva. So Jiva has to Jiva has to go where Sarthi takes the chariot. So this is the chariot sitting on which the Jiva is forced to travel from one body to another body. This chariot takes us to different places. Now, if Sarthi, the charioteer, he becomes distracted or he falls asleep, then he will lose the grip on the reins. So then the reins will become loose and the horses will go out of control. And the whole chariot might end up in a trench. It might break. The Sarathi will get damaged, will get hurt, and the passenger, the soul, might get injured. So then this intelligence losing control on mind, it will bring destruction. So no, we can't artificially keep deciding that I will control my senses, I will control my senses. Just our determination, our willpower will not help. It won't help. It won't happen. It is not enough. So because senses, they are in control of mind. So we can't control the senses. This Sunday only in GGG, Jai Mataji spoke on Bhagavad Gita verse 6.6. So that verse says, बंधुरात्मा आत्मनः तस्य यैनात्मैव आत्मना जितः अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुवे वर्ते आत्मा एव शत्रुत्व. So in there, Prabhupada writes in the purport, the verse translation, let's read. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends, but for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. And Prabhupada has rightly said in the purport that as long as one's mind remains an unconquered enemy, one has to serve the dictations of lust, anger, avarice, illusion, etc. But when the mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to abide by the dictation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated within the heart of everyone as Paramatma. So in our example, the image that we saw, the horses and the senses. So this sits really nicely there, that if the mind is conquered, then one gets connected to the Paramatma who is sitting in the heart, and that gives the real intelligence, and then sense control becomes easy. Otherwise, as Prabhupada has said in that purport, otherwise one will always struggle with lust or anger or illusion and all these anarthas. In Ramayana and in Balkand section of Ramayana, there is a story. So let's hear that story very carefully. So what happens is, there was a king named Kaushik. So King Kaushik, he wanted, he saw sage Vashisht, Maharshi Vashisht. So he had a desire that I want to be spiritually powerful like Maharshi Vashisht. So what he did, he renounced his kingdom and he performed severe tapasya. Then, on the strength of his tapasya, he became eligible to get Indra's position. So Indra's position was in danger. Indra became afraid that what if he will complete his tapasya and come and get my position. So then Indra sent an Apsara named Menaka to distract him. And then Kaushik, he was enchanted by her beauty. He lived with her for 10 years, and then they had a daughter named Shakuntala. And then after living with her for many years, Menaka for many years, and enjoying with her, one day Kaushik all of a sudden realizes that, well, this was a trap set by Indra. So he got angry on Menaka. He said, because of you, I failed in my sense control. Are you very proud of your beauty? So I will curse you. Next life, you will lose your beauty. So, he cursed her. He got angry on Menaka. And then he blamed, in a way, he blamed Menka for him losing sense control. But we see that it was his lust that came in the way of him and his sense control. Anyways, then Kaushik went to the bank of river Kaushiki, and again he performed austerities for thousands of years. Then Lord Brahma appeared. Lord Brahma said, he addressed him as a Maharshi, a very great sage. But Lord Brahma said that you are a great sage, you are a Maharshi, but still you are not Jitendriya. You still haven't fully control your senses. So like that, he continued his austerities. Even Lord Brahma was pleased with him. Again, Indra's position.
Birthday too. A birthday cake emoji today is Sacred Bhattacharya's birthday.
Sorry, what's happening? So Indra's position came in danger again. Indra, he tested him by sending another Apsara, Rambha. And this time Kaushik, he recognized straight away that this is a trap sent by Indra. So he became straight away, as soon as Rambha came, he became angry on her. He cursed her to turn into a stone for 1,000 years. So this time, his anger ruled him. And after that, he thought, what is this? Maybe this place is not right. Indra always finds ways to make me lose my sense control. So let me go to Himalayas. Then again, he left the place, he went to Himalaya. For further 1,000 years, he performed even harsher tapasya. He stopped eating, he even reduced his breathing, and he was almost eating nothing. So, see how he became then. And again, Indra got insecure of his position. So this time, Indra came himself to test him in form of a beggar. So Kaushik had been fasting for a long time, right? So just when he was about to break his fast with some rice, Indra came as a poor Brahman begging for food, and then Kaushik immediately gave the rice away. And then he went back to his meditation without being agitated. So then Kaushik introspected, what am I doing? I keep getting disturbed by Indra's tricks. Sometimes he comes, he provokes me, and I fail. So this time he thought, now, I refuse to be pushed around by lust or anger. So finally, then he became successful, and Lord Brahma came with the demigods, and Indra also came. And then Brahma said, "You are Vishwamitra, your friend to all," because he was compassionate to all of the living beings. He was compassionate to Indra. So, and the same sage Vishwamitra, he later associated with Lord Ramchandra, and he became devotee of the Lord. So, this story of Kaushik becoming Vishwamitra, this story mirrors our inner struggle, and the struggle Prabhupada mentions in Bhagavad Gita 2.60. Sometimes we fall to lust, sometimes we fall to our anger, sometimes we fall to our greed, our envy, our laziness. But why does this happen? So if we go back to our the chariot image that I just shared. Let me share it again. So if we go back to this example, what is happening with us is that the passenger, the soul, has become relaxed. Take me where you want. So the horses run here and there because they are not friends with each other. They have fights going on. So they are out of control. Now, such an uncontrolled senses, they are controlling the mind, the reins. And mind is controlling our intelligence, and intelligence is misdirecting our soul. But ideally, what should happen is that soul should be tuned in with the super soul. So the passenger, the soul should be alert, proactive. Where is my chariot taking me? So soul should be directing the intelligence. Intelligence should direct the mind, and the mind should control the senses. So we need to reverse this order. Right now it's going in this direction, but we need to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, and then this order of control will get reversed. And how do we do that? We don't fight with the horses. Horses, they are inbuilt, the senses, they are inbuilt. No point fighting with them. So how do we deal with them? What do we do with those who commit some crime in society? We put them in jail and we engage them in some good activities there, right? So we don't just lock them up. We restrict whatever harmful action they were doing, and we redirect their energy into something constructive. We give them kitchen duty, laundry, cleaning, maintenance, some carpentry, some structured routines. And we help them, complete their unfinished education, school certificates, TAFE qualification, things like that. So we engage them in something positive and stop allowing them to do the harmful, the negative activities they were doing. So similarly, we don't just restrain our senses, we redirect them positively in Krishna's service. And exactly that our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas define it as bhakti. Rishikena Rishikesa Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. Bhakti means engagement of the purified senses in the service of the Lord. And this is very practical. We don't have to kill the horses. We don't have to kill our senses. We don't have to stop them. We just need to teach them. We need to learn ourselves to engage them properly. Prabhupada calls this higher taste. So how this works is, first, the soul needs to tune in with super soul. The soul realizes that I am his servant, I should be serving him. And how will I serve him? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So I will do these activities of bhakti, one or some or all of these bhakti practices. I will do attentive hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna, and that will create a direct connection between me, the soul, and Krishna. And then when we are thinking of Krishna, we are reading about Krishna, what will happen to our intelligence? Our intelligence takes charge again. So when the soul is linked with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then the whole hierarchy naturally aligns to how it should be. Then intelligence takes charge again, and mind won't stay blank. It needs some activity. Mind will always think something. It needs better taste, higher taste, and then lower taste will automatically drop. Even for children, if we keep telling them, don't run fast, don't jump, don't eat chocolate, don't make noise, don't, it doesn't work. Instead of saying don't run, we have to tell them, hold my hand while you're walking. Instead of saying don't jump, we have to say, come, let's do frog jumps for 5 minutes. Instead of saying stop making noise, we have to tell them, oh, use your indoor voice, let's do some reading quietly. So like that, don't always doesn't work. We need to give some positive instructions even to children, right? So our mind is more chanchal, more obstinate even than a child. So we don't need to say no, but we need to give mind some yes, a better activity, and that is kirtan, service, reading, association. So then when we do like that, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 2.61, one who restrains his senses and keeps them in full control and fixes his consciousness upon me, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 2.61 that such a person fixes his consciousness upon me, and that person is known as man of steady intelligence. So that is how we realign our senses, engage them in service of Krishna, and then we become pragna pratisthita. And the great example of that, the practical example of how we do that is Amrish Maharaj. Prabhupada has given his example in the purport. All the activities Amrish Maharaj has done. Savai Minaha Krishna Padaravindayo, starting with the mind, all how we engage everything of all of our senses in Krishna service. We engage our ears in hearing kirtan, hearing Bhagavatam, tongue in chanting and taking prasadam, our eyes in darshan, our hands and legs in going to the temple and doing some service. So as soon as we engage the soul with Krishna, then our intelligence becomes clear, our mind becomes steady, and our senses get properly engaged. So, that can be done anywhere. And Srila Prabhupada has created a great model. We don't have to go, we don't have to do what Vishwamitra did. Go here, go there, try this, try that. No, we just have to follow Srila Prabhupada's model, which is, that this sense control can be done in any ashram, Grihastha ashram, Brahmachari ashram, Sannyas ashram. And in fact, there are many added benefits to Grihastha ashram. Grihastha ashram can actually help in sense control, and it can help in our bhakti in many unique ways, because Grihasthashram gives us a regulated framework. So for especially for the sex desire, it's like it's very controlled in controlled ways. It's like license with rules, but it's not free indulgence. Then in Grihasthashram is like a natural training in humility, in tolerance, and sacrifice, all the qualities that required in a devotee. So while serving the spouse, the children, the elders, and the guests in Grihastha ashram, so daily life of a Grihastha becomes like a workshop, a training ground for purifying the heart. Then opportunity for service. Because Grihastha can earn, honestly earn, and then they can use their home, their wealth, their skills. For example, to contribute to build the temple, feeding the devotees, supporting the preaching, serving and receiving Vaishnavas, saintly people. So all of these facilities in Grihastha life, they can help us to keep our senses positively engaged. So Grihastha life can have added benefit because it can be like a platform for a steady sadhana. So I'll quickly wrap up now. We saw, today we saw in many examples, Sobari Rishi, Vishwamitra Rishi. So we saw in the example, the verse is talking about two scenarios. No, it's talking about one who goes to the forest, and another example is talking about the one who is Jitendriya. So we saw example Shobri Rishi, Vishwamitra Rishi, they went to the forest. So scriptures give us two paths, Nivritti Marg and Pravritti Marg. So the basic principle for both of them is to lead a religious life. And these options are given only for humans. For animals, there is no option of Nivritti Marg. Animals only have Pravritti Marg. So, and same goes for demons. Demons, they have no concept of nivritti marg. Demons, they only do sense indulgence. They don't follow any scriptures, so they don't have a structured pravritti marg as such. So only civilized humans have these two paths where, nivritti marg, renounced life, you give up family life, you follow celibacy, and you avoid sense gratification. But in pravritti marg, you embrace the family life, You do your duty as per your position, as per your role in society, and there is endless possibility of sense enjoyment in family life. But what is recommended is regulated sense enjoyment. So gratify the senses according to the directions of Vedic injunctions. So the thing is, the first scenario our verse is talking about, Nivrittimar, I think is it suitable for very small percentage of population, maybe 1 or 2% of men. Um, Males only, because outright 50% of population is females, and the Vedic scriptures actually they don't recommend the path of renunciation for women. For women, shastras emphasize protection and spiritual progress within the family dynamics. So yes, even for women also there are exceptions in history of exalted women who did succeed in the path of renunciation, but they are rare. But for majority of population overall, the path of renunciation is not suitable. So family life, the grihastha life, as Lord Brahma is advocating for Priyavrata to accept, family life gives a workable platform for spiritual development by being fully dependent on Krishna and by performing devotional service. And that is much better than trying to struggle with the senses and living an unregulated life. So the verse has given us a contrast, forest and home. So that is not the real danger. It's not forest versus home. It's our uncontrolled senses versus our engaged senses. The forest will not save a pramatta, and home will not bind a jitendriya. So that is what our verse says. There is a lot more we can talk about on this verse, but in respect of time, all of yours time, I think I should stop here. If anyone has any comments, any realizations, anything you like to add, please share.
Hare Krishna,
Thank
Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam. Thank
Hare
you very much for your wonderful class, Mataji. It was very nice and a lot of examples, situations from the Bhagavatam which describe how all these very nice. Just thought I'll share this. In respect of Maharaj Bharat, when I was hearing a class, it is explained that Maharaj Bharat is certainly a very self-controlled person, everything. But even for such a self-controlled person, in the forest, in the absence of association of devotees, that allows for the mind to wander away. Therefore, the association of devotees is our biggest protection. When we continue to live in the association of devotees, sharing and having that combined strength can always help us keep ourselves in devotion and not be led away. I thought that was a very true, especially for us in today's life where we have got so much of distractions, so much of things that can lead us away. And therefore, association of devotees, sharing the 6 exchanges that are there, that is the key ultimately to having us always be in devotion. Thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much for sharing that very important point. Yes, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Bhavamayi.
Hare Krishna.
Very beautiful, very nice class. Always so much to learn from this. I was just thinking that, we can use everything for whatever is given to us for the satisfaction of Krishna. You say that verse, I think from Bhakti Rasamrita, Anasakteya Savishyan Yatarham Upajanjate Nirbandha Krishna Smante Yukta Viragyam Uchyate. So whatever we have, that is the actual renunciation is using everything for Krishna's pleasure. So it's not that material things cannot be used. And then following that one, the another verse says, Parpanchi katya buddhya hari sambandhani vastua mumukshvi parityago vairagyam phalgu katyate. So if one who rejects things without knowledge of their relationship to Krishna, then our renunciation is actually incomplete. So when our body which Krishna has given, we cannot neglect our body. If we neglect our body, then we cannot engage in the service of the Lord. So we should see all the material things which are there. They can be used for Krishna's. As you mentioned, that if there is a child and he's doing something and we say no, 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 they don't like no thing. But instead of that, no, you give him something so he can engage. If he's doing something, you just, as you said, you have a book or something, let's read together. And it's so interesting. You know, on Sunday, we went to the temple. Barsana was doing the Aarti, the 7 o'clock Aarti, and my grandson was with me. And so there were about 10 people who came for the Aarti. And so we had Aarti, very nice kirtan. And then we had a little bit talking about Purushottam month. So when we were coming home, my grandson, he was sitting in the car and we were waiting for Barsana to, lock up everything and come. And I had my phone with me and I was reading from chapter 15. And he just asked me, Nani, can I read? And I was surprised that he wanted to read because he had association of devotees. So I said, okay. So he sat there while we were waiting and we recited 11 verses together. So it was so interesting that how we can engage children. If I told him otherwise, you do it, he won't do. But remaining in there, in the association, singing, Gaur Aarti, Narasimha praise and all that. And he was sort of, enthused that he wanted to read. So that was really good. Thank you very much. I just wanted to share because we all have children and, grandchildren, and we can always encourage them by, positive things. Thank you very much. It's such a wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Mataji. As you saw, everything I was sharing was Srila Prabhupada's verse, purpose only. All right. Thank you everyone so much for joining today's class and giving us association in glorifying Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Please continue to join Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam every day. And if you have friends who are not joining, we see in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam group, we have more than 700 people. But joining every day regularly, very few. So please encourage your friends also to join Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Because the more devotees join, they bring in more perspective and give us all inspiration also. Thank you so much for joining. Granthra Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Mahapuran ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada jai, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Jai Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Her grace
Bhavamayi Dasi ki
Mataji
jai.
Jai.
Jai. Hari Bol.
Prabhupada,
Thank you,
all
Mataji.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mataji.
Mataji.